This podcast is brought to you by Bernie's Tap and Grill. It's family owned and operated since 1954, located across from Wrigley Field on Clark and Waveland. My dad hit a few home runs on the Waveland Avenue, and Bernie's was my dad's favorite place to go. It's got delicious food, 4 full-service bars, an awesome beer garden, a sidewalk patio cafe, and a cool upstairs area. It's the place I've always met my friends at before and after games. Go on by and tell Linda Dillman Jeff Santos sent you. Bernie's Tap and Grill, where you go when you go to Wrigley.
Sit back and relax. It's time for peanuts, popcorn, and Cracker Jacks.
Hey, how's it going? I'm your host, Jeff Santo, and I'm here with my wife, Christy. To follow up with the last Cracker Jack, my sister mentioned this relief pitcher that we couldn't come up with his name. Thanks for all your emails. You were 100% right. It's number 13, Turk Wendell. Played from 93 to 97. Quite a character. Hey, Christy, did you ever hear of him?
I can certainly say no. For those who don't know, I'm a San Fran girl, born and raised in the Bay, but in my family, football was king, Niners all the way. And when you and I became an item, Jeff,
right,
it was easy to switch to the Cubs. I mean, baseball is king now for me. So
it was mandatory.
Yes, it was 100% mandatory. I had to first get used to the amount of games. That was difficult for me. You know,
Right.
It was like one Sunday, that for fall. And then now it's like how many times a week and a lot of games.
Tune in a lot more, yeah.
Yeah, so anything before 2008 is before my time. But I love hearing about your dad's time and the in-between and letters from fans.
Right, yeah. And speaking of that, we got a great letter from a fan to our email podcast. I got to read it to you. It said, Jeff, I have to tell you a story about growing up as an Iowa farm boy and a Cub fan in the 1960s. Your dad was my favorite player. I wrote a letter to Ron Santo, 1060 West Addison Street, Chicago, Illinois, when I was 7 years old, after going to my first game at Wrigley Field in 1961. I received a letter back from your dad's fan club. I was so excited, running up our farm lane from getting the mail. I joined the Ron Santo fan club by taping 2 quarters to a postcard, putting them inside an envelope, and sending it back.
Oh, that's great.
I actually received an official membership card and a letter welcoming me to the club. In 1965, the fan club held a contest to name the National League's 8 starters. Imagine how high I was jumping as I ran into our farmhouse with this big manila envelope from the Ron Santo fan club.
Oh.
Inside was a 5x7 colored glossy autograph to Monty. Best wishes, Ron Santo. I still have it in my man cave, along with a 1969 autograph, number 10 Ron Santo jersey, autograph This Old Cubs CD, and a clay model of Ronnie swinging a bat with his autograph. I never had the pleasure of meeting your father, but went to Wrigley Field every year for a Sunday doubleheader in the 60s. My grandfather was a Cub fan who passed away 3 months before Ernie Banks' debut and 11 days before I was born. My father was a Cub fan who passed away in 1989, having never seen the Cubs win a World Series. I am now a great-grandfather with 3 sons, grandsons, and great-grandsons, who are all Cub fans.
Wow.
Being raised a Cub fan gives you eternal optimism. Listening to WGN through the static on a transistor radio, then my dad bought an 8-foot satellite dish so we could steal the signal, long before there was DirecTV. Your father, Ron Santo, cemented my being a lifelong Cub fan. Hope you are doing well. Really enjoy your podcast. Monty Johnson. That's beautiful.
Oh, that's great.
Wow. That's 6 generations of Cub fans in that Iowa family. That moved me. Wow. Thanks, Monty.
Thank you, Monty.
Next is Pat Hughes Part 2. It's really a good one. So stay tuned in.
Gino's east of Chicago, doing deep dish in Chicago since 1966. Now has an LA location. Same great recipes, same great ingredients. That's no joke. Their deep dish tastes exactly the same as it does in Chicago. It's my favorite. I love the deep dish. And Gino's East is where I go when I want to taste from home. Named Best Pizza in LA by LA Times readers, and I certainly agree. Plus, there's a full menu of Italian favorites. Chicago Tavern-style pizza, and the Italian beef sandwich. Dine in for great food straight from the oven, or do carry-out or delivery. For great pizza and great atmosphere, go to 12924 Riverside Drive in Sherman Oaks, near the corner of Riverside and Coldwater Canyon, just off the 101 and the Coldwater Canyon exit. Or order online. Go to genoseast.com.
You know, your great calls that you've had out there, there's many of them. And I want to discuss some of those, like that secret sauce and what you say and how you say it. You are like a Hemingway. You're so concise in painting that picture for us. And that Mark McGwire call, you know, I broke it down a little bit. It's so concise. You have 3 short sentences. The first one, he drives one deep to left. Right there, I got the view. You know, wherever I am, if I'm on the farm in southern Illinois, the crop of corn just turned into left field, and I'm seeing the ball go towards deep left. And then your second line is like you're talking to the listener who is hoping, like, and you say, "This could be," and right there, the guy standing up or the guy in the tractor just stopped because now it's "this could be." There's the hope, and then it's a home run. You have 3 sentences, 3 different emotions: the excitement of the crack of the bat, the hope of the flight of the ball, and the celebration. Then you close it out with 2 short sentences, number 62 for Mark McGwire, and then a slice of history and a magical moment in St. Louis. It's all said and done in 5 lines. I mean, it's beauty. It's simple, perfect. And it's an art form. And that's how do you go there in those moments? I mean, are you prepared for it, or are you thinking, or are you just taking some from your bank of all the years that you've been doing it?
Well, that's very nice of you to say that, Jeff. And it's hard to believe that's been 25 years ago, 1998.
Wow. Right.
But that's a great memory. Let's get back to the Hemingway part. Hemingway, I love reading him. I read The Old Man and the Sea about once every 10 years, whether I need to or not. Yeah. Old Santiago the fisherman. And right. Hemingway always said, remember the weather, because that is something everyone can relate to. So I keep that in mind when I'm doing play-by-play. But getting back to that call, McGwire, yes, we knew that there was possible history to be made, and I knew that it was going to be my call, and your dad was right next to me. And that was a difficult one because of all the homers McGwire hit that year, Jeff. That was atypical. His typical home run is a long, towering tape measure drive. This was a line smash straightaway left field that barely cleared the outfield wall by about a foot. So it was very unusual, but I was okay with the call. Again, you never know what you're going to see as a play-by-play man, so therefore you can never plan out any of the words or the calls. And that would be a slippery slope anyway. You've got to just kind of see it and react to it and put it into words as quickly as possible. And you just hope that the words tumble out of your mouth in the right order. There's no guarantee that they will, but that's what you're hoping for. So that was tense. I was okay with it. And it came out all right. And so did the World Series call and a few others that I've been lucky enough to make. But those are a challenge, and you just hope you're up to the challenge, and you hope that it comes out clearly. That's I think the main thing.
Well, that's being a pro. I mean, to do it right when it happens, like you say, that's what's so difficult about what you do, and only few can do it at your level, and that's why you're going in the Hall of Fame, Pat. And that call for the World Series, and there's another one that if you just look at it. I mean, what do you say? I mean, obviously you do the ground ball to Bryant over to Rizzo, but that call when they won it, the Cubs have done it. I mean, it's just the longest drought in American sports history is over, and the celebration begins. It's beautiful. It's beautiful, and because it's everyone right then is just screaming, going nuts. We can't believe they've done it, and so I mean. Right. It's amazing stuff, man. Well, it really is. It really is.
I knew it was going to be a huge celebration. I think you could kind of see that coming. But I did want to mention that, the longest drought in 108 years. And I was so proud, Jeff, because I was the first Cubs announcer ever to say the Chicago Cubs win the World Series, because back in 1980, there was no radio, there was no television, there were no announcers. So I was lucky enough to be the first Cubs announcer. I know that the television guys said it also, but to be the first Cubs announcer is very, very special to me to make that call. And again, I was trying to focus on the play. And if I was proud of anything, I kept saying to myself, be true to your radio audience. Make the final call. Be under control. Don't get hysterical. And if I was proud of anything, I said a little bouncer slowly toward Bryant. And that's a pretty good visual right there.
Right.
And then I said something, it's not a sharp grounder. It's a bouncer slowly towards Bryant. He will glove it and throw to Rizzo. And as I listen to that, I've never said that before. I've never said, he will glove it and throw to Rizzo. But knowing that Bryant and Rizzo were two of the main guys on the team, it just seemed very natural. He will glove it and throw to Rizzo. And I was hoping that people knew that Rizzo played first base. I think but it was a fast play. And then I saw Chris kind of slip on the grass as he threw it. He actually ended up falling down after the throw, if you watch the replay. But Rizzo, Thank goodness, is 6'4", and he was able to reach up and flag it down, and then I had to wait for the umpire to make the out call. It's in time, and the Chicago Cubs win the World Series. And then I happened to catch Ben Zobrist running in from left field, and I almost laughed because he jumped up, and his arms and legs are all going in 4 different directions. He is so happy. And it reminded me of a kid when you're in Little League. You're just so happy. You don't even know what to do. You're just completely out of control. And he was jumping up and down like a bunch of delirious 10-year-olds. And that's where that came from. So anyway, it was fun. It was stressful. I can live with it. It's by far not the greatest call that's ever been made by a baseball announcer, but it was the best that I could do, and I can live with it.
Oh, it was great, Pat. It was great. And, well, I want to get back to my dad here again, you and him. I know how much he admired and respected you in the broadcasting booth. You're the same pro like he was on the field, that hands down. My dad, obviously, he didn't, he's not hitting home runs and making great plays in the booth. But what were some of the things you admired about him up there with you?
I would say just how much he loved baseball, how much he loved the Cubs, how much he loved to laugh, how much he just wanted it to be a good teamwork, partnership broadcast every day. And I think he and I both, we never really talked about this very much, Jeff, but we both knew how important the other guy was to the overall product, which is Cubs Radio, which is the Pat and Ron show. We both knew that the other guy was extremely important. I knew how famous Ron was. I knew what a great player he was. I knew what kind of insights he had, how much he loved the Cubs. And I don't think anybody ever loved the Cubs more than your dad. So those are some of the qualities that I respected in him. He knew the game, and he was such a great player. I think sometimes he almost found it difficult to articulate why another ball player could not hit as well as he could. But he would get frustrated. And he was such a natural athlete. It's like, see the ball and swing hard in case you hit it. And he was so gifted as a ball player. And not many people have his gifts. But look at him. I mean,
all right.
Batting average, home runs, RBIs, defense. He was an absolutely wonderful ball player and yet a down-to-earth guy. he came from very humble beginnings. That's another thing I think he and I both had in common. My dad was a college professor. We had 5 kids. We didn't have any money. I never took a flight until I played in the Colt League World Series when I was 16 years old. I never was on an airplane. So, I mean, we never went hungry, but we didn't have a lot of extra cash laying around either. So we both had that in common. And we both loved to laugh. We both loved baseball. We loved the Cubs. And obviously, I didn't know the Cubs. I hadn't developed the love that I have now for them in the first year or so. But quickly, I realized what a special organization this is and what an incredible fan base this is. And it didn't take long for me to love the Cubs, Jeff. Let me put it that way.
Right. You know, like you said, the fun that you guys had, man, it was so authentic. I mean, I was there. We all had fun. I mean, that's who he was, and that's who you guys were together. I think you guys knew each other. You knew you were different, but you knew that you had the same goal, and it worked. And that respect was at such a high level. And I just love seeing that, Pat. It was so nice to be there with my dad for a while, to see him in the broadcasting side, because I grew up on the baseball side, but then to have a chance to do the documentary and to get to know you and Boltsy and the guys in the booth, Andy Mazer, all of it was just the guys in WGN. It was just beautiful to see that. And, you know, you guys really just loved what you were doing, and it showed, man. It really showed. I want to ask you about – go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. No,
I want to ask you about – go ahead, Bud.
I was going to say it's a fun thing, and I think baseball has always been fun to me. Broadcasting has been fun. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun too. And I think that I make it a goal to laugh and try to have other people around me laugh every single day, several times.
Yeah, and it's good to see you and Ron Coomer too. Please tell him I said hello. You guys are great in the booth, man. He's the same kind of hard-nosed player like my dad was, and it just shows. And it's good to feel that same energy going when you guys are broadcasting a game. I want to get to your wife, Trish. When you met your wife, you were broadcasting at the time, right?
Sure.
So what did she think about, okay, did you say right away, hey, listen, I'm going to be on the road a lot? When did you make that kind of offering? How did that go down?
Well, I met Trish in 1986, and I had already been in the big leagues for about 3 or 4 years as a broadcaster, and I had worked my way up through the minors before that. And you're right, we do travel, and it's difficult on both the husband and the wife when you travel and you're separated for 100 days a year, as we are. But I said, this is my job. This is what I'm trained to do. And unfortunately, this job involves a lot of travel. And, I try to make up for it in the off season, Jeff, by being there for my family as much as I possibly can. And I think I've done a decent job on that. We have 2 daughters, Janelle and Amber. They grew up, and I missed a lot of things when they were growing up, but I tried to be there as much as I could, and I coached their teams, and I tried to help them with homework in the off season, and tried to do as many things as I could. But it's hard to be away, and I told my wife, I said, this is my job, and she understood, and she's been amazingly understanding and calm and sweet, and we've been married 36 years come October. So, yeah, it's something. Wow. I've been lucky and real lucky, and we're going strong, and I would do it again.
That's awesome, man. And now you guys get to go celebrate all the hard work that you both have been through for all those years. It's amazing, man. It really is. It really is. I want to ask you. Go ahead.
No, I was going. That's fine. Go ahead.
Okay, I want to ask you on a couple of before we end out here, the rules, the changes. I know it's sped up the game, and it's great for TV. I noticed when I went to the Dodger game. I mean, the game moves fast. You sneeze, you're gone. You're missing 3 innings.
at Dodger Stadium. I'm not saying for Wrigley, but is it? I see the goodness in it. Is it affecting some of it? How do you feel about it? Point blank.
I like it. I love the game either way. A short game, a fast game, a slugfest, a pitcher's duel. I love the game. Whatever the game offers to me on a daily basis, I'm ready for it, and I'm going to enjoy it and broadcast it the best that I can. So that's a given. But I like it. I like when the ball game moves along at a more rapid pace. I've been doing games now these last 10 years or so, I would say. The game's really slowed down to a snail's pace. And while I like the leisurely pace of baseball compared to, say, football and basketball, leisurely is one thing, Jeff. Lethargic is another. And it got to be lethargic on a lot of these games. There's no way that a 9-inning Major League Baseball game should last 4 hours. But I did many games that were 3 hours and 58 minutes, and you feel almost like a wounded animal at the end of the game because you're grinding and trying to come up with interesting things to say. You try that for 4 hours and tell me how you feel. It's not easy. So it's hard to have a compelling sporting event that lasts for 4 hours. I guess Game 7 of the World Series would be an exception. I think that game took about 4.5 hours or close to 4 hours, but it was wall-to-wall drama, and it was exciting, and it was twists and turns. Not every game has that. And a regular season game between two teams that are 30 games out of first place in August or September, that's not going to have wall-to-wall drama. I like the pace of play. I like the more rapidly paced games. I think it makes for better baseball, and I think it'll make for better broadcasting also.
I agree with you. I just think that Dodger Stadium, they got to do something about that parking. Because there are people coming in, you know how Dodger Stadium, they say, they get there in the third inning, they leave in the seventh or whatever. Well, we were sitting there, and these guys showed up in the seventh inning. That's a little late, man, And it just seems like some stadiums, are they ready for it? I agree with you. Moves way quicker on TV too. And I think you're right. It's almost kind of like movies I compare it to. Like most movies are an hour and a half, a little longer. Then you'll get the 2.5, 3 hour Godfather movie, but those are special, right? You can't have those all the time, and I think baseball is like the same way. A good 2.5 hour game, we're into it. 4, it better be special. And if it's not, boy, you've lost everyone. So, yeah, I agree with you, Pat. Yeah. Yeah. Well, man, I just want to say the last thing, the Cubs, they're looking pretty good. I know you had a little tough, thing with the Dodgers of late here, but they're looking pretty good. What's your take on it?
They're definitely improved. Nico Horner is blossoming into an excellent ball player, and Dansby Swanson is a good shortstop. That's a nice 1-2 punch at the top of the order. Cody Bellinger looks like he's going to be a good ball player. Patrick Wisdom. Now, here's a guy that kind of reminds me of your dad in some regards. He's not real tall, but he's very strong, plays third base, got a good arm, got some power. Your dad had all of those qualities, but he's a great kid, too. And he's hit home runs these last few years, but the batting average has been way down. Now the batting average is up, the RBIs are up, and he looks like he might be a real force. But having said that, it always comes down to pitching. And that's where I think the Cubs are greatly improved. I think that once they get Kyle Hendricks back, they might really be something special. But we'll see. It's a long season. We're only about 1/8 of the way through the calendar right now, and who knows what will happen. But it's fun. It's always fun at Wrigley. I love the Cubs. I love the ballpark. I love the fan base, the history of the organization. It's all good. It's special to me every day, and I never want to take one game lightly, not even one.
Absolutely, Pat. It is nice to watch them right now. They seem like they're having fun, and they do. The pitching looks decent, and like you just said, all the guys are clicking. So fingers crossed. Well, Pat, I can't thank you enough for coming on. I hope, Christy and I are going to try and get out to the Hall of Fame. I don't know if that's going to work, but we're going to try. Because I'd love to see you go in. If not, we'll be watching on the TV for sure. And it's going to be a great day for you and your family, man. And I can't wait. My dad is, wherever he is, he's so happy that you're in there, man. He's so.
He's certainly part of me, Jeff, and thank you. And okay, I think we're done with the rehearsal. You want to turn on the recorder now and do the thing for real?
Oh, that's funny, man. Oh, I'm going to try and come down to. I know you guys are playing the Angels in late June. I'm going to try and get to Anaheim. Love to come up and say hello to you if I do. So
okay. It
was just too crowded at Dodger Stadium to do so. Man, it was so packed on that homestand. But
oh yeah,
if I don't, Pat, again, congratulations on everything. So well deserved, man. You're a great guy,
right.
And I just love everything that's happening for you and your family, man. So.
Well, you're very kind, Jeff. Thank you. Say hi to Christy and say hi to your brother and your sister. And yes, we'll talk again. Okay.
Sounds great, Pat. All right. Take care. Good luck the rest of the way, man.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right. See you, Pat.
That moment was brought to you by Tangent West, executive recruiters, headquartered in Denver, with offices in Vail, Colorado, and New Orleans. Since 1995, Tangent West has conducted executive searches nationally and internationally. They place C-level executives, management positions, high-level executive assistants, marketing and accounting, and finance. Cheryl Grimaldi, president, has personally interviewed over 36,000 candidates and has filled over 2,500 searches. I've known Cheryl for decades. She's a dear family friend and someone you can trust. She's been at this for a long time. Tangent West, hunting human excellence and building the country's finest company since 1995. Because nothing matters more than hiring the right people. If you're hiring, go to www.tangentwest.com.
All right, it's time for our Crackerjack call. I'm going to call a childhood friend I've known for over 50 years. His name is Terry O'Brien. I call him T.O.B. We met in 1969 when our family moved to Glenview in Valley Low. So here we go.
Crackerjack.
This call is being recorded.
Yo, what's up? T.O.B. Terry O'Brien, you are my Crackerjack number 4.
Wow, Cracker! I'm honored. Let's see what kind of surprise we have.
You're hitting number 4, man. You're hitting in Ron's spot. So, hey, I still have that vivid visual in my memory when we first met in 1969. You busting through the hedges that separate the condominiums from the houses. I think I was throwing a rubber ball against the garage. You had a white T-shirt, torn in a few places with muddy parts on it. I thought you came out of the TV from the Little Rascals show. You definitely had guts because I felt it, man. Like you were coming over to tell me something, or maybe I was the first kid in the neighborhood who you came upon. Which was it?
Well, I don't know if you guys remember, but you guys were, I think it was you, Ronnie, and Rosie playing Olympics. And for some reason, Olympics. And I show up, and you said, yeah, you can play, but I had a real short buzz cut. I guess I looked a little Asian. You said, you can beat China.
Come on. Come on.
You did. I swear to God.
Did.
Hey, we were 8. Well, Ronnie probably. We were 8 years old. I mean, come on.
Oh well,
no one
I was younger than that, but I don't. You remember you?
No one understood the culture thing.
Yo, I know, but I mean,
can.
That's funny. Hey, either way, we accepted you.
You did, and quickly. And I'll tell you what. I bet China won the Olympics that year.
Oh God, man! I mean,
I had game.
You did have game. But man, I remember you with the T-shirt on, and wow, man! I mean, it just seemed like did you know we lived there? Did you just move in?
I don't remember.
What was going on?
I'm sure when we moved, it was just the other side of our town. I just moved to a different side. my parents, I'm 11 years younger, so they downsized because the others were out of the house. And I'm sure they got me to like be okay with it. Like, Ron Santo lives down the street. And I'm sure they did that because I was already a big baseball fan at that point. So I'm sure that I can't imagine I didn't know you guys lived there. I look back though, God, I had the most idyllic childhood that you could ever imagine. And you had a lot of pressure. I mean, you were children of a superstar in Chicago.
We didn't know
There's still some.
though. Yeah, but at that time, when we're kids, man, at that moment, we're in the thick of it, and you're just a buddy coming over, and we became very close. I mean, me and you. You were in between me and Ronnie, so Ronnie, why did you pick me? Because you were in between.
Because Ronnie abused me. That's why he abused all of us. Ronnie was the dominant guy in that scenario, and
you guys were scared of Ronnie. Yeah. Well, Ronnie had his crew though. See, he came from a different breed. I mean, if you look at that class of his, right? I mean, when I was a freshman, so the class of '78 were seniors. I mean, some of those guys looked like they fought in Vietnam. I mean, it was like
they had beards.
They had beards, right? I mean, it was, and you just felt like as a freshman, you felt like a boy in a man's world back then. And Ronnie, kind of that last class of Ronnie's class, I think they were the last of that breed that was like a little crazy in them. You know what I mean?
Oh God, yeah, a lot of crazy. And it wasn't just Ronnie, by the way. To your point, it was Pete Wyrick. It was. Well, the list goes on. I'm not going to go down that path, but yeah.
No.
And you and I, we bonded through protecting ourselves. I think it was always like you and I in wiffle ball against Ronnie and some other 6-foot
and Michael
dude.
Polano
Yeah.
Right. Michael's, I think, a freshman in high school playing on the varsity football, and they're playing us in a wiffle ball tournament every time. And we finally beat them that one time. And I think Ronnie
went
you
nuts.
home with a paddle, with a canoe paddle.
Swinging at me with a wiffle bat, I think. He was swinging at me. He was going nuts because we did finally beat him. But as a child growing up, I told the story to some people. Your dad gets up and goes to work early in the morning. That's me, my dad. Your dad gets up a little later and goes to Wrigley and is, accolades and hitting home runs, playing baseball. And until I was 10, I actually thought I could be a professional baseball player. That's a life choice. That's not just because I witnessed it. Would go to Wrigley. I just thought it was normal. And then, oh my God, when I was 10 or 11 and I figured out that it took talent, like you had to be really exceptional to get there, it was crushing to me. That's how idyllic my childhood growing up with you and your family, living the dream of playing on Wrigley Field as little kids and just doing all the things we got to do was crazy fun.
We played baseball, me and you, all through Little League and Colt League and Pony in high school. I mean, literally, Ronnie was the MVP in 1979 for his senior class. And we had
high school,
those trophies they had in high school. You were for 1980 and I was for 1981. When we go that far from playing wiffle ball from 7 to 8 years old all the way to high school, quite a journey, T.O.B. I mean, what are some of the things like memories back then when my dad was in the thick of it? Because you met us in 1969. What are some of the memories that stuck with you in your life?
Oh God, it molded my life. It absolutely molded my life. First of all, one real memory that stuck out with me, and it didn't compute till later because I thought it was natural. Your dad, wherever we went, people just surrounded him, found him, said, "Oh, it's Ron. If we're just going to lunch, right?" And I was coming with you guys, and it was oh my God, there's Ron Santo. And people walk up to him, they want autographs, talk to him. I never saw him get frustrated. He was gracious with every single person that came up. So I thought that's how everybody was in normal. And then as I got older, I saw some other athletes or celebrities, kind of being assholes. And it took me back to like, my God, the patience your dad had to have. I mean, they were rock stars in the late 60s, early 70s. That whole team they were rock stars in Chicago. Couldn't go anywhere without people stopping him. And he'd talk to them. Maybe someone would bring diabetes up. like a child they had, and he would like, hey, tell the kid not to do this, do that. I remember being frustrated once in a while because we'd be stopped all the time. Like, aren't we going? Let's go. And I look back now on it, like, God, he had so much patience for people and understood people. You know, he understood it was a privilege to do what he did and share that with people. That was amazing. That was a huge one for me, and that stuck with me. I think I was politer to people because of that, because I watched that so often.
Right. Yeah, we had a lot of people going through our house back then. I mean, as far as like family, friends, like the Polanos and the Mattery, we were like one big family. It was constant, like, I felt like constant love all the time, you know. And then obviously later,
talk about Cracker Jacks. I'd walk in, I didn't know what I'd get. One day it'd be Joe Pepitone, then it would be Johnny Bench, and then I'd see, you know, Fergie, and it was crazy at your house. Bobby Douglas. Who was it? Keith Magnuson? Who's the hockey player?
Keith Madison came over and started skating on the ice with us because Glenn was in our life.
Glenn all the time.
Then. Yeah, all the time was, you know, Glenn and my dad had a special relationship. And I'm going to talk about that later in the show down the road. But yeah, Glenn was always over, and they built the hockey rink in back and put the boards up. And we had NHL, goals. And the nets, and then the lights. I mean, everyone came over and played hockey in the backyard in the winter, you know?
Wiffle ball in the summer, football in the fall,
hockey
all winter, and skiing. We were lucky enough to do that.
Right.
And then right back to wiffle ball, baseball in the spring. Awesome.
Yeah. What were some of your memories like? You were there when we got the death threats. I don't know how, was it right when we met you? Because it was pretty quick that we got those. What do you remember about that?
I remember it was in the summer, and obviously they were playing ball. My memory was never being frightened of that. My memory was playing the two FBI agents that were there. You had those great dart guns. We played dart fights, and then they joined us, and here we are playing with two FBI agents, and they got the dart guns, and we're trying to sneak up on these guys and shoot them. I mean,
dart guns, right?
There was no fear. I didn't understand it.
Dude, those, right? There was for me because it added up. I mean, you didn't know that at the time because obviously it's I think only my mom and dad took care of that where I started having nightmares about it, but that was a little later. Around that time, but wasn't
there a white van or something that you had this dream about? It scared you.
There's some. I just remember because we would always play out in the front of the house. We play fast pitch or against the garage, and in the back we play wiffle ball. That front though, there's a lot of traffic that might go by. That's when I started getting a little nervous of standing out front there playing, throwing the ball off the wall by myself. That's when I started getting worried of cars going by, which is kind of weird, right? You're just like, what the hell? But that was just something that I was dealing with. But like you, when FBI was up, we had fun. We played dart. Those dart guns were powerful. Those things.
God, they wouldn't sell them today. Somebody would get hurt.
Right. That was fun. And I remember the one time too that I got off at your bus stop because they started following me and Ronnie to school, and I got off at your stop and went to your house, and they went searching for me. My mom went nuts. They thought I got kidnapped.
I remember that.
Right?
Yeah, I do remember that. That actually did scare me because then I realized how serious it was at that point when they, you see them react that way when you're just at my house,
Yeah.
Oh, God. So many good memories, though. I cannot, just.
What was it like for you as going with us to the ball games? How many games did you go to? I went to a lot at Wrigley. They were a little stricter about being in the locker room. You guys could go in, and I think I got in a couple times. They didn't let us really on the field much. I got out there a couple times. But when your dad got traded to the White Sox, they were like, go to town. I mean, I sat for an inning once in a dugout and got kicked out during the game. And then after the game, playing ball on the field. What did we use? A fungo and a golf ball. And that's the only way we could hit them out. I don't know what we were thinking, but a fungo bat and a golf ball, and I could never hit it out. I think I hit one off the wall. Ronnie he almost hit out of the stadium once. What a difference it was from going to the north side for so long and then going to the south side. It was just because you're going from day ball to night ball, and way different.
And the players, one of my all-time memories is in between doubleheaders, sitting in the dugout, and Bucky Dent walks by and tosses me a glove. And it's like a 4th of July weekend doubleheader, so the place is packed, Comiskey Park's packed. And he said, "Hey, let's play Pepper." And I go out in between a doubleheader, and I'm trying to underhand the ball, make sure I get it to him, and we're just playing Pepper. It was crazy.
Right.
I'm just looking around, going, "Oh my God, this is unbelievable." Yeah.
Oh man,
and it goes beyond that, though. We made a sport out of everything. I mean, it wasn't just wiffle ball but your basement, we had that little hoop up, and I think once we were playing sock ball, remember? With a sock and a tiny little bat in a basement. And I mean, we always created stuff and did stuff. So I had there was never boredom or downtime.
No.
You lived on a lake, and we were in the water. I can't believe nobody drowned.
Right.
In the water constantly. No one fell through it. Well, Kanan fell through the ice, but other than Kanan, I mean, we
did. Thank God we saved him. We did the train. We did.
Yeah, the ladder.
That was
the
tough.
ladder.
Yeah.
We all hung on to each other, and it was idyllic. I'm so fortunate and lucky, and here we are. 52 years later, you're still one of my closest friends on the planet. And I still. Your mother was a second mother, man. I love her to death, Judy, and I mean, we all grew up differently, and she saw I grew up very differently than I think you did in the family structure, and I mean, she took me under her wing, and I will never forget that. Thank God for that. She helped me become, somebody I am today.
Dude, you were our adopted brother, man. You were, and people don't realize how much you were over at our house from the time
Jeff,
we met.
I slept there every other night, almost. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, it was, and you were my first best friend, and I look back at it now, and those are the memories that I really think that, from age, we're born to 12, or those are the years that you really take in the world, and you were part of that taken, man, for me, and the older I get now and reflect on that stuff, I mean, it means a lot, because those are the years few people got to see that world that you saw, that way, even when after my dad was out of baseball, it was gone. It was gone, and to see you, the family you have now, TOB, 3 beautiful daughters, your wife, Stacy, you guys have been together for how many years now? 35. I mean, a long time.
31, 32.
32, man, and you're successful. I mean, you came from a place, man, and we know where, and to see how successful you became, and you took the things that me and Ronnie couldn't really take, and worked the way, and you worked it, man, and I'm so proud of you, man. I really am.
Oh well, hey, Jeff. You are definitely one of the loves of my life, my entire life. I feel the exact same way. We might not talk for a few months, and then we do, and it's like we talked that morning. It's not like there's any gaps. But that's what the oldest friends in your life are. You just mentioned when your dad left baseball. I'll tell you, some of my best memories are also when we could have a beer with him, and I didn't even think about asking him back in the day, what it was like to face Bob Gibson or Sandy Koufax. And he told me some of the coolest stories. I loved hearing them about Koufax throwing a perfect game in Dodger Stadium. And I think it was Ron hitting third or fourth then.
Yeah. What's that?
Was he hitting third or fourth then?
No, he was in fourth. He was in fourth.
Okay, he was in fourth, but
yeah.
And was Kessinger struck out on 3 pitches?
It was Becker. Becker never struck out, and he struck out on 3 pitches. And he went back, and when he walked back to the dugout, my dad would always I'd say, "What's he got?
What's he got,
Beck? What's he got, Rumi?" And Becker, he ain't got shit. And it's my dad gets up there, he leads off the second inning. and he said he didn't even stride. It was boom, boom, boom. He's out in 3. Comes back, and Beckert's on the bench laughing his ass off, going, I didn't see it either, man. And he pitched a perfect game. Yeah.
I said, who was the most intimidating pitcher you ever faced? He said, Bob Gibson. Or no, that guy, he's, what is he, 6'6" or something, and he just, he'll throw at your head. He wouldn't even think twice about it. I mean, just some of these awesome stories. Him and Glenn. Did you ever tell the story about, or maybe you'll do that later, about Glenn and him rooming on the road and the death threat?
Oh, yeah. No, I haven't told it, but yeah, that's a great one. That was in this old cover, yeah. Yeah, man. There's there's a ton of stories, and even going back to us again, man. Ronnie driving us to high school. I mean, he got that van, and he drove like 7 people to high school every day when we were freshmen and sophomore, and it was just the craziness to go through life and to go, oh man, just the different changes in life, and to see your change, man, and to see where you are now, buddy. We're so happy for you.
Thank you, man.
Everyone, Mom, Ronnie, Linda. So anyway, buddy, we're going to have to wrap it up. We were going a little long.
Thank you.
Crackerjack.
Yeah, sorry about that. Hopefully you got the edit button out.
No. Thanks for doing this, TOB, and you'll definitely be on again, man. I know that. All right, buddy.
Love you. I'll talk to you soon. Say hi to your lovely wife for me.
You do the same. All right.
Thanks, bud. Bye-bye.
Hope everyone enjoyed that. Wherever you are in your game of life, remember, you don't always need to hit home runs. Small ball walks tall, too. Click the follow button for next week's episode. We're going to have another great guest, so stay tuned. And keep sending those emails to jeff.ppcpodcast@gmail.com.
And as many of you know, doing a podcast takes a lot of time, effort, and resources. So if you enjoy listening and would like to support us, I invite you to visit our Patreon page. There you can get exclusive content, early access, and other perks.
And don't be shy to write a review for us on Apple Podcasts. Thanks for listening, and thanks for all the great support. Till next time, don't let the ball play you. You play the ball.
Toodaloo.
This moment was brought to you by sanofilms.com, the place to buy This Old Cub DVDs, posters, and some real cool t-shirts. So, that's sanofilms.com. Check it out.